Hi, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of the Selfscape podcast. My name is Hadassah and I am your host. You're absolutely welcome. If this is your first time listening to the Selfscape podcast, trust me, you are in for a wonderful ride. Selfscape is a place where my intrusive thoughts call home. All of my conversations with myself, all my conversations in my head, I just pour it out here because this for me is a safe space. So is this a safe space? In my opinion, it is. It's like an audio that I'm blabbing. Anyway, you're welcome. You're welcome to Soulscape. You're in for a ride, and I promise you're going to have a wonderful time. Make sure that you listen to all the other previous episodes of the podcast if you haven't, and tell somebody that Hadassah has a podcast. What are we talking about today? Oh my goodness. The elephant in the room. I do not want to address it, but I just feel like let me just indulge. So yes. I have not published an episode, or I didn't publish an episode in 2 weeks. To be very honest, I did not have a reason other than work was killing me and I just couldn't. I had so much work and it felt like I was going to die from all the work I was doing. At a point, I stopped and I said, what is all this for? Like, is this what it's like? What is the end goal of all this work? Because at the end of the day, when Jesus comes and I'm raptured, I'm not going to work. So what's the end goal of all this work that I'm doing just because I want to be an adult and I want to be independent and I want to survive? So I have to die first. Well, that's the life I live right now, Shas. I decided to take a break from work today to record this episode because I realized I hadn't recorded an episode in 2 weeks, and if I didn't take a break from work to record, I would end up not recording an episode or publishing an episode this week. So I said to myself, take that break and record a podcast episode. And so here we are. What are we talking about today? Are you aware that this is your first life? Are you actually aware that this is your first and only life? I feel like we go through every day so fast and so quickly that we actually don't stop to introspect as much as we should, and we don't stop to think of how we are currently living, or we don't stop to see that we don't stop. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. We actually don't stop. We're always on the go. We're constantly moving. For example, you're fresh out of school and you're looking for a job and you've been praying for a job, and then you get the job and you don't even take time to actually savor that moment to say, oh, I have gotten a job, let me enjoy this moment, like let me soak it in. We don't actually take a moment to do it. We're on to the very next thing. Oh, I've gotten a job, okay, now I have to get better at my job, I have to meet my KPIs, I have deliverables, I have meetings, I have to advance in my career, I need to take that course because I want a better salary. And it's just like a continuous cycle, and we just never stop to introspect or to say that this is my first time at anything. I mean anything. This is my first time at podcasting because this is my first life. This is my first time at navigating 27 because I can only be 27 once. This is my first time at anything that I am doing. At my job, I will never have this job twice. I will only have it once. I don't think that we stop to think about all of these things. I feel like we just move. Going to school and getting a BSc degree was like the first time that I will do it. But everybody just expects you to get so good at it. And I'm like, is there a manual for this thing or something? Because they didn't give me manual for my house. They did not give me manual when I was going there. So how am I supposed to know what I'm supposed to do? And I get that people have gone ahead of us, and so in that sense you would say there is some form of manual based off people's experiences. But let me tell you, I feel experiences are subjective to the person that has experienced it. I hope I'm making sense. Like, your experience is really, really peculiar to you, to the situation or the circumstances surrounding that experience. I don't think that two people will have the same experience under the same circumstances, except they were having it at the same time. I hope that makes sense. Like, how do I explain this and just dumb it down a little bit? The way I experienced university from my own perspective, my own point of view, is probably 100%, or let me not say 100%, let me say 99% different from how my classmates experienced it. I'm pretty sure if they put both of us in the same room and they asked us to explain our point of view or our perspective of school, we're going to have two different stories to tell. In fact, I'm 100% sure that we're going to have two stories to tell. And so I am of the opinion that experiences are subjective, or the word is relative. Yes, experiences are relative to the individuals that have those experiences. And so I don't think there really is a manual to life. I think everybody's just winging it. That's what I think. Everybody is just winging it. And maybe because some people have more years, so they feel like they're experts. And yet there are some principles that actually apply to everybody, and obviously some principles that work and are 100% set in stone. But it's not all principles. I mean, obviously general things like eat healthy, take care of yourself, take a bath, use deodorant, smell nice, I don't know, put on some clothes. Those are like general principles to existing or to actually going through life. Get a job, be able to pay your bills, afford house rent, put food on your table, go to church, be a good Christian. I mean, just like the general principles of life, yeah, they actually apply to everybody. But I feel like certain things don't apply to everybody, and everybody's just winging it. Everybody is trying to just live life and trying their best, and life keeps kicking us in our behind. Like life just keeps throwing life at us, and that's why we have a lot of young people that are fatigued, tired, and stressed, because the circumstances surrounding our own journey or our own experiences have changed. If you compare how our parents used to live their lives before, even with all the tech and advancement and access that we currently have now, we're struggling more than our parents probably did. They had community, they had family, they could always go back home. I'm not saying we can't go back home, don't get me wrong, but it just feels like a lot of the things that they had in terms of maybe emotional support, social support, we don't really have that right now. A lot of us are navigating life alone. Some of us don't have genuine friendships. We've been in toxic friendships and we just don't want to try again. A lot of us have had our hearts broken 10 times over, betrayed, the whole 90 yards. And everybody just is insecure, angry, defensive. Nobody wants to open up. Nobody wants to be vulnerable. Nobody wants to share their problems. Nobody wants to ask for help. Nobody wants to offer help. Nobody wants to be their neighbor's. Is it neighbor's keeper? Yes, that's the word. And life is just going somehow because the experiences or the circumstances have changed compared to how it was for our parents. And it's just I just keep thinking about it every day. I'm like, wow, if this is what it means to be an adult, count me out. I'm not feeling this. I am not feeling this adulthood thing at all. And I'm like, how did my dad do it? It begs the question, how did my parents survive adulthood? Obviously, they're still growing, but like, how did they navigate it? How was it like for them? Because my dad had his first child very early. So I'm wondering, with a child, how was it? How were you able to get a job, be able to provide for your family? Because you had your child pretty early, be able to even save up money to buy land, build a house. I'm really intrigued. The reason I'm more intrigued is because our parents are living their lives for the first time too. I'm pretty sure you didn't really dip it, but yeah, they are. They're also navigating life for the first time and having first experiences too. They just happen to be older and to be parents and to be adults, but they're also living life for the first time. They're also experiencing things for the first time. My dad was a dad for the first time in his life, and they had to do it 3 more times. Oh my God. How was it like? I'm really intrigued. I'm really interested in how their growing up life, so to speak, was. I really want to know. The other day I was asking my mom, I said, Mom, why did you quit working at the hospital? Because my mom used to work at the hospital. She was a nurse. And I was like, why did you quit working at the hospital and then started a trade? And she said, because she had us. And my heart dropped. And I felt like I took something from her. And I know she probably doesn't see it that way, and she probably looks at us as like, oh, these are my biggest achievements, or like my kids are my everything and all. But I still feel like, does she have regrets? Is there a part of my mom that feels like I could have had a different life if I didn't have kids? Or I could have had a better life if I didn't have kids? Or I don't know, does she ever feel like she could have had more? And I'm also thinking, if she had access to help for childcare, would she have quit her job? Because what she said was she had us, and it was hard to raise her kids and be going for her shifts. So she just chose one that made her a more available mom, and she quit her job and decided to start a trade. And let me tell you, my mother was successful in her trade. She doesn't do as much work as she used to do when I was little. I had the best childhood. I had the best clothes. I went to good schools. My parents ensured that we had quality education. They spent their money. They did. Anything I wanted to eat, I had. I was never hungry. I never lacked. Me and my siblings, they really committed to actually raising their kids, and I'm very thankful that they were able to do that. But at the same time, I just feel like, did we take something from them? We have had conversations with my dad about his life, but we've never really had in-depth conversations with him like I'm trying to have now with them, because as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that they're also living their lives for the first time, and they also have things that they like, they also have interests, they also have things they want to do. I'm pretty sure they had dreams when they were younger. Did having kids and raising kids take that away from them? Now I'm becoming more considerate, and I'm becoming more understanding, and I'm starting to see my parents as human beings, as people with feelings, and it's just wild. I always say that I'm living off my parents, even though I have a job, because I'm not paying house rent, I'm not paying for groceries or anything, and I'm an adult. So I say that I live off my parents. So I can imagine them, they had their independence really early, because my dad used to tell us that when him and my mom got together, he didn't have a job at the time, and he was a danfo driver. I know, that's crazy. My dad used to drive, he had the danfo, he used to drive danfo. It's wild because it doesn't look like somebody that was driving danfo. I mean, my dad is proper educated, like no jokes. He went to a university in India for his masters. So my dad actually is learned and everything. So he doesn't look like somebody that will actually finish school and come and start driving danfo. But he did. He was hustling, and my mom was a nurse before he eventually now then got his job. So I just used to wonder, like, how was it like for them? Because these were people that got together when they barely had anything and they decided to raise a family. I can't even do that now, and I have a job. I cannot imagine or fathom the thought of having a family right now, because it's just 10 times more expensive to do that. So why would I want to? But they were able to do it at their time, and they were doing it for the first time. It's not like somebody gave them a manual to be parents, or somebody taught my dad how to be a dad, or taught my mom how to be a mom. They literally navigated this thing for the very first time. They had my sister, they had me, they had my sister again, then they had my brother. They figured this thing out on their own, and I'm just thinking, like, my God, they deserve more grace, because I don't know what they thought they were doing, but I'm pretty sure they knew in their hearts that we don't really know what we're doing, we're just winging it. My dad will often tell us now that he's very grateful, that he's thankful that we turned out this way, because they didn't know what they were doing, and he was always praying that, God, please, my kids need to turn out right, like, I need to just not make mistakes. Funny thing, my dad never beat us. My mom, on the other hand, was the disciplinarian. Oh, she beat the living daylight out of me, Jesus Christ. My mom beat me to the point where I was questioning her as my mom. That's how bad it was, but that's the story for another day. She beat the living daylight out of me. My dad never hit us. He didn't like it. He disliked it. He hated it. He despised it. He still hates it till now, beating kids. He'd rather have a conversation with you. And let me tell you, my dad should sit down to have a conversation with you. Oh, Jesus Christ. You would prefer to get flogged by my mom. I dreaded my dad coming home to hear that I did something and then having the talk. I'd rather my mom beats me and then just forget about it than beats me and then still tell my dad, and I had to go through that combat. Like, it was one of the things I dreaded the most. I'd rather my mom just beat me, because I knew that when she beat me, it would end. But when my dad would have that talk, I couldn't do it. I hated it. So now I'm thinking, these people literally were just trying their best at raising me, and they were living their lives for the very first time, just like we are all doing. Our parents have not died and gone to heaven and then come back with Emmanuel. They are still here since their parents gave birth to them and raised them to be adults. They then decided to have kids and have raised us to be adults, and we're going to continue the cycle. And I'm just thinking, do they want to travel? Do they like ice cream? What are the kind of things they like? What are the movies they like to watch? Does my mom watch the movies that she watches because I'm watching them. Because a lot of times she likes to watch movies when I'm watching them. So if I'm watching something, she just comes, sits with me, and she watches it with me. She gets invested. But I'm thinking to myself, is that something she likes, or she's just watching it because she wants to spend time with me? Does she like to have the conversations that we have? Are those types of conversations she likes to have, or she's just having it because her daughter is having it with her? Like, I want to know what makes them tick, like what makes them them. I'm trying to get to know my parents as people rather than as parents. And I think that for each and every one of us, we will get to that point. If you're not there yet, you will get there. Well, except if you have like childhood trauma from your parents. I really don't know how you're going to navigate that. But if you're good with your parents, I think you will get to a point where you want to get to know them genuinely as people, and you want to get to know what they like and what they don't like, rather than just have this distant relationship with them. And I think that's what has cemented my own conscious decision that if I, or when I have kids, let me not say if, when I have kids, I want my kids to get to know me as they grow. I don't want them to have to wait till when they're older to start to figure me out, because that's what I'm currently trying to do with my parents. Although I didn't realize it at the time that my dad was actually an open book and really just wanted to have a relationship with us. I noticed that growing up, he would always hang out with us, talk to us. When he's having dinner, we could talk about anything in front of my parents, and we were cool, right? But I just didn't know that was a thing I had access to until I got older, until now. And me and my dad are literally having conversations about anything and everything. The other day, my sister came home. She doesn't listen to this podcast or to this episode, and she'll say my dad about, suitors. And it was really interesting because then I could then tell him about my secondary school teachers that were proposing marriage to me, which I find just absolutely ridiculous. And we just had a very, very hearty family conversation, and it was fun. I was like, oh my God, this is possible. Or is it because I'm older now it is possible? I don't know. I will never know, I guess. I really don't know. But my dad has always maintained this. I have always wanted to have a conversation with my kids. That's how I've always wanted my family to be very tight-knit, very close, have a good relationship with your siblings. They're the only people that you have. Mostly because I think this stems from the fact that my dad and his siblings are very close. I have always grown up in a house full of love. I have not known anything outside of that. My dad's family, they're very tight-knit. The siblings are very close. I used to live 10 minutes away from my cousins growing up, and I spent every single holiday at my cousin's house. We went to the same primary school, the same secondary school, the same universities. We would go to the same parties. We would hang out every birthday, every holiday, every day, every weekend. We would eat the same food, bathe in the same house, sleep on the same bed. We did everything together growing up, and those are one of my favorite childhood memories. And my cousins are my friends. We chill, we hang, we talk, we bond. I go to their house. That's how my family has always been. So my dad has, I guess I didn't see, but he has always wanted that thing for his family. Now I'm wondering, what else does he want? What else does he like? I mean, I know so many things he doesn't like. He doesn't talk too much. He's not much of a talker, but when he talks, he tries as much as possible to express them as much as he can. And then he listens to people as well. My dad listens. He's a very good listener. He listens to you. My dad has understood the basics of communications. He understands it better than I do. I've never seen my dad not speak politely to people. Very, very polite, very calm, doesn't shout, doesn't get angry quickly. I mean, he gets riled up, yeah, but he doesn't explode, or he doesn't get angry quickly. He takes his time. He takes his time to get upset. And that's something I have seen in myself. So I'm more like my dad, very quiet, very laid back. I don't like wala. I just want peace to reign at all times. And my dad doesn't eat much. In all the years I have known that man, he has never finished his food once. Ever. No matter how good that food is, he has never finished it. And it's always very small portions, but he still cannot finish. In all the years I have known him, he just never finishes food. I get to finish it. So that's a plus. I get to finish it. And then my mom, she's really easygoing. My mom is a very chill person. She's very kind. She's a sweetheart. Like she has a very, very big heart for people. We could literally be down to our last naira, and somebody would come to our house and say, oh, I don't have anything. My mom would give them that last naira, and me, I'm like, what are we now going to spend? You have given the last money we have. What are we going to spend? So that's how I've always seen my mom. She really has a big heart, and she's just really sweet. she's just chill. I don't know. I like this place where I am now with my parents and getting to know them and loving them and trying to understand their journey and trying to understand if they also had the same struggles that I currently have with growing as an adult. I mean, I want to know, were my parents shy? Because my dad strikes up conversations with strangers in seconds. I was going to camp, and when I got to the bus park, I didn't know anybody. I needed to sleep over at Enugu. We found somebody that was going to Enugu, a young girl. She was going to school. My dad found her family and spoke to them in Igbo, and that was it. I slept over at the girl's family house that night when we got to Enugu. Shocking. If I was the only person that had gone to the bus park, I wouldn't have been able to do that. But my dad just finds it easy to talk to people. So I don't know if they struggle the way I do with a lot of things. I really want to know. I mean, I know some bits and pieces of my dad's childhood. He has always, shared his story and everything. Even my mom, she talks about her childhood all the time. They talked about how they met and stuff. But still, I feel like there are so many things about them that I still don't know that I want to get to know, because, I mean, we're all just living our lives for the first time and we're really winging it and just trying to navigate. So I guess I really don't know the essence of this conversation. But this is the conversation I've been having myself for the last 3 weeks. I've been having this conversation in my head. I'm just like, who are these people? But anyway, I hope that this actually makes sense to you and you're able to. I really don't know what you're going to be able to do with this, but I really hope it makes sense to you. And yeah, just let me know in the chats. I mean, the reply button. Let me know what you think about this conversation. Are you aware that your parents are living their lives for the very first time? And how are you navigating adulthood? Give me tips. I want to know, how are you navigating adulthood? Till next time that I see you, it's Selfscape, and oh my god, I did not give us an NYC Chronicle. So what's my NYC Chronicle? We didn't have CDS last week. We had CDS this week, and they said that we will be going for sensitization and sanitization next week, so which means I'm going to be walking around the streets of Ikeja, which is not something I'm looking forward to, but I will try as much as possible to let you know how it goes. And yeah, that's it right now for my NYC Chronicle. So far so good. It's been chill. I mean, we had hiccups at the beginning, but right now it's going well. I can't believe this episode